Hello and happy solstice, Christmas, New Year, winter holiday of your choice. My name's Leo, this is Tally Ho, and in this special bonus Christmas end of year video we're going to be doing a tour of the boat and catching up on all the projects which are going on at the moment. This is a completely up-to-date video. It's the 21st today, solstice, and I'm going to show you the state of the boat as it is now, what's been done, what's left to do, and look in a little bit more detail on a few of those projects. Okay, so there's nothing too new in this area underneath the boat or regarding the hull itself of the boat, except that we do have the topmast here, and it's been here for a little while now. It arrived from the other end of town on top of Doug's truck, and the topmast is the top part of the mast. It's going to be hoisted up and it's going to go through the doublings, the hounds and the spectacle iron, and be hoisted up and extend the height of the overall rig by a significant amount. The topmast itself is beautifully made. It's hollow, so it's very light, and as you can see there are some very specific details about it, and we'll look more at those when we actually hoist the topmast. But it's great to have it here. It'd be really nice to see it go up the rig, but we can't do that until we have the bowsprit in place. So David, it's nearly Christmas, nearly holidays. What's going on with you?
I'm getting out of here. I'm going to Florida. Making sure that everything is nice and coated before I go.
What have you got in here right now?
Oh, odds and ends. These beautiful louvered doors that are wonderful to look at, but a nightmare to scuff and varnish. Yes, some drawers. I don't know where this is going, but these drawers and those drawer faces belong to the workbench and the wardrobe up in the forepeak of the boat. Mm-hmm. Pretty slick.
They look a bit wonky.
Yeah, I mean, these are emergency drawers for when the boat inevitably capsizes. Not inevitably, but if the boat ever capsizes.
David. So you'll notice that things are pretty quiet around here. There's not many people around. Most people have gone home or to various other places for their holidays.
Hey Leo.
Hey Bob.
The heck are you doing?
I am attempting to hoist some festive lights up Tally Ho's rig.
What are the lights for?
Well, they're a pretty essential part of the rig. Traditionally they would have probably been paraffin, but they really just allow the rig to function with the optimal amount of ho ho ho. So we're going to have a look around on deck now and see all the jobs in progress. As we look around, you'll see all the bronze work is getting pretty tarnished, and that's because we're washing and scrubbing the deck with salt water pretty regularly. There's no point really trying to maintain a polished finish on bronze while we're working on the boat out in the yard. If we want that later on, we can easily polish that back up to be really shiny. We'll probably do that for launch, and then whether that's maintained or not, we'll see. One big thing on deck that's pretty new is the winch bases. They've been there for a little while now, but I haven't shown them being made yet, and I will do that at some point soon, probably when we put the winches on them. But they started being constructed inside the big shed when the boat was still in there, and they're made out of parts of Tally Ho that we took off, beam shelf stringers, big chunks of teak that Bob laminated up into these blocks that go around the cockpit to hold the winches up to the proper height. Also on deck, further forward, Bob has been doing a lot of work on the Samson posts, or the bits, so let's go and catch up with him.
I'm working out the details of the bowsprit step here, the Samson posts or bits, which will take the load at the aft end of the bowsprit. The next thing I'm going to do is something I've been looking forward to. I'm going to make a roller, which is like a cylindrical roller that'll go on this axle. And we considered different materials to make that out of. The ideal thing to make it out of would be a these days pretty rare hardwood called lignum vitae, which is probably the only wood that would really be suitable to make that piece out of. It can be obtained, but it's astronomically expensive. It's often sold by the ounce in smaller pieces for like wood turning, but we have had the great luck of being given access to a really beautiful piece of it by a viewer, one of you, one of us. And yeah, so very lucky to have that material. That's going to be fun and gratifying, and I'm looking forward to it.
Cool. All right, thanks, Bob. Should we go have a look at that?
Yeah, let's
piece
go
of
look
wood?
at it. We got like one mouse living in here.
Oh, really?
Likes to hang out on my bench. I want to like try and count the rings. It's got to be like 300-400 years old. A tree.
And they're not massive trees either, are they?
No, this is it. This is the whole tree.
Yeah.
It's like a 12-inch trunk.
Yeah. So other than those big jobs, Seal is just finishing off the fife rail. Patrick has been cutting a hole in the deck for the wood burner flue, and then there's a lot of other jobs which haven't yet been started. So there's going to be quite a lot of more hardware on the deck. So that includes sheet blocks, blocks and gear for the running backstays, a boom gallows, which is a big job. We've still got some design work to do on that. And then of course the capstan, which is a huge job. The capstan is Tally-Ho's anchor winch or windlass, and it is the original piece of hardware that came off the boat. It is being rebuilt. It's also going to have a motor added, and it's going to be reinstalled on the foredeck. Now at some point soon I'll do a whole video explaining how that process is going and the different steps, but for now you can head over to Keith Rucker's channel. He's got a video about taking it apart, and there's a couple of other videos online about making a pattern and casting the new top piece, so I'll link those in the video description. But it is in progress. The original capstan is going to be rebuilt. It will be motorized. It will be back on the foredeck. Now those were just the first few jobs which came to mind, but there's a lot more to do besides that. We've got to make light boxes. We got to put a lot of cleats in the cockpit area. We got to make the tiller. And then of course there's a huge amount of rigging work left to do. We're not even going to get into that in this video because it's just too much. It deserves its own video, and also we can't see a lot of it with our winter cover in place. So for now, let's go down below and see what's new inside the boat. So we've just come down the main companionway and into the sort of main area of the boat, the saloon here, and the galley and the nav area. And as we look around, you'll see that a lot of stuff is covered to protect it with this blue plastic or the cardboard, so you don't really get the full effect of being in a wooden boat right now. Also, there's a lot of stuff which isn't in here, so the galley counter, for instance, and a lot of other things are out either in the finishing booth or they're just out being stored in the loft of the workshop. But there is quite a bit of new stuff to see down here too, so we're going to start with the nav area here on my left on the starboard side of the boat, and Joe is going to explain the latest bit of work he's been doing on the switch panel. All right, Joe, what do we have here?
Hey, Leo. I just finished up wiring the nav panel. We got our 12-volt main distribution. We got some switching for the hybrid system here. We got a couple of displays for the NEMA 2000 and some alarms and meters and yeah, kind of all the stuff you expect to see on a nav panel.
It looks really smart.
It does. I really like it. Nick did a lovely job with the layout of all the parts and pieces, and yeah, made it easy for me to hook it all up and install them.
And it looks like we have our lights on.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we make lights go on.
Oh ho! Look at that.
So,
cool.
making headway.
Looks great, Joe.
Yeah, it's fun.
While that panel looks great, and Nick has already made a lot of progress with the chart table, which is going to be mounted right below the panel. It's going to be beautiful. He's been doing some amazing dovetails on that. I'm not going to spoil the surprise by showing you the table yet. It's going to come in a future video, and you'll see the whole process of making it start to finish. But right now it is almost done, the table itself, and he's working on some storage underneath it and the supports which hold it up. There's also drawers and shelves already made for the bookcase next to the electrical panel. Again, those are in the workshop right now. Next, we're going to turn around and look in the engine room and then the aft cabin. So in the engine room, not a lot has changed except for this very beautiful cherry seat that George has made, which is a great place to sit to work on the engine or do whatever you need to do in here. There's some more to do in here. We're going to make a sort of tool and a parts storage cabinet here, and then another seat on this side. There's a bit more setup to do on the hybrid, which will wait until we're in the water, but things are pretty good in here. We've even got working lights. Ow. So here in the aft cabin, we've got some pretty cool stuff going on. This is a beautiful little basin that Nick made this mount for, and Joe has been plumbing it in. The drain is all plumbed to a little pump that pumps it overboard. This will be really nice to have in the aft cabin for brushing your teeth or whatever. And then Nick's also made a beautiful little corner cabinet up here, which is going to have a mirror in it. Also in this cabin, we've got a small heater unit mounted, and Joe and Erica have been working on getting the heating system finished. It's getting pretty close now, so in the not too distant future, we'll actually be able to put some diesel in the tanks and fire up the heater and get some hot air in here. So I've been getting a lot of questions about the spars, the mast, the boom, so on, and their funding. If you remember, quite a long time ago now, somebody actually came out and told me they were going to pay for tally-ho spars, which was, of course, an incredible offer, and at the time it made me feel comfortable outsourcing that work. The funding was delayed, but we couldn't wait to get the spars going, so we got it moving and I started paying for it. Unfortunately, that funding never actually came through, so did end up paying for the spars myself, but I can't complain. I pretty much put myself in this situation, and although it was a really big and of course unexpected cost, the spars are just beautiful and I'm so glad we have them. In fact, I'm kind of glad, although it took a little while to be able to think of it like this, I'm kind of glad it all happened the way it did, because if I hadn't had that promise of funding, I wouldn't have even thought about outsourcing the spars. We would have done it ourselves, and in that case it would have been really fun and interesting to do, but it would have delayed the launch by such a long time. It would have really made this project take a lot longer, and it'll be a lot longer before this boat gets to sail again. So I'm glad we are where we are. We have some beautiful spars, and tally-ho is getting closer and closer to the water. Okay, so we're back in the saloon and there's a few things to look at here. Pretty obviously right in the middle is the wood burner, not in its final position, but you'll see behind it is the plinth that it's going to sit on. Zeal did a beautiful job making that. It's steel coated with several coats of high temperature epoxy paint. The wood burner will live on top of that. Of course, it'll have heat shields on the sides and the back, and then there'll be a flue going up through the deck. Now, last time we were in here, there was a temporary plywood sole floor in the saloon and galley. But since then, George has made the final sole boards out of ash, and they are all in place. They're all covered with cardboard right now, so you can't see them, but they do look very nice underneath. Also behind me is the settee, and we have a very talented local friend here, Maya, who has made all the settee cushions already, and they've been made out of leather. They're tufted, they look really beautiful. They're not in place right now. They're well away from the boat where they're safe and not going to get covered in tar and stuff like that. But they've been dry fitted, they look great. I've got some footage from Maya doing work on them, and that'll be in a video soon as well. We're looking forward to actually putting them in place for good and sitting down. Also coming up in here, we got the saloon table, which is going to be made from reclaimed teak planks that came off the boat a few years ago. George has been making those into a table, and it's going to have some legs which go down into the sole. It's going to be adjustable height, so you'll be able to lower it to make this into one big double berth. You can see another grill for another heater unit over there, and you probably can't see it quite, but behind me there's also a set of outlets in the tongue and groove paneling there, and those are pretty close to all being turned on. So I'm in the head now, just forward of the saloon, and it's pretty hard to get good footage in here because it's such a small space, but it's pretty generous for a head on a boat. Anyway, there's a few new things in here. This cabinet has been made by Zeal, and I've got some good footage of this process so far, but of course it's not finished. It's going to have 3 small doors in and a mirror in the middle. It'll be a sort of medicine cabinet and a mirror, and then this very nice copper pipe and loop is part of the heating system, so that'll have hot water flowing through it. Joe's been putting that together. He bent this copper pipe and soldered it all up. It looks really nice. Next, we're going to move into the forepeak or the forecastle, and Paddy is going to show us the very nice ladder that he's built up there.
Northern California to see my family for Christmas, and Leo got me on my way out, and he's like, "Wait, come down and talk about your ladder." So here we are, and I'm talking about my ladder that I built a couple weeks ago. So first of all, it's got a lot of mobility on its rack. So you can see we got it hanging on these beautiful bronze rails up here, and we made it so that it can slide kind of along the length of the rack. So if you need to, get up out in the bunk or get on the bottom bunk or anything, you can do that. But then also, it's got 3 different mounting positions, which this is obviously the first one. It's kind of in the stowed position. And then you can also take it and click into the forward beam here. I think this is a great position for like when you're just casting off and you need to stow a bunch of lines and fenders and you want to just shove them on the bunk here for a day sail or for, a shorter trip. You can kind of haul stuff from the deck. But then you can also put it on the aft beam. And the ladder is nice and narrow so that when you're all the way over on the side here, you still have passage on the side of the ladder.
And it's good for getting in and out of the bunks as well, right?
That's right, yeah. Top bunk.
In any position.
Yeah.
And I think, it'll be interesting to see which of these positions we'll use the most and for what circumstances.
Yeah.
It might be that we just end up having it there all the time.
Could be.
Or against the bunks all the time.
Yeah.
But it's really cool to have the versatility.
Yeah. It's kind of the do-all ladder. What the YouTube channel doesn't see is all the design work that goes into this stuff and all the measuring and head scratching and meetings.
Way back when we had our very first mock-up of the interior, pretty much,
Yeah.
this ladder was part of the consideration even back then, and how it would stow up against the bunk sides here.
Yep. Yeah, back when we had the entire interior mocked up in pattern ply
Yeah,
and cardboard.
yeah. Alright, well, we've had a pretty good look at a lot of jobs that are in progress but which haven't been in any videos yet, and do keep in mind that I've shown you a lot of parts of the boat which aren't finished, and I also haven't had time to fully explain sort of how and why we're doing some of these things, but feel free to ask questions in the comments and I'll try and respond. There's a couple of jobs I've missed out of this. I'm keeping them as a surprise because they're nearly finished and they're going to make nice videos. And of course there is a lot more work still left to do. Our job list is huge and somehow it seems to be just getting longer and longer. But 2023 has been an amazing year for this project. We've got so much work done. The boat has come out of the shed, we've got the rig up. It's been fantastic, and as always I just feel totally blown away and in humble awe of the community which has supported this project and allows us to do this work. I'm so grateful. I know the whole team here is really grateful, and I'm so grateful for them as well. Having such a good team here makes all the difference. Now, we received so many interesting things from our community, and people support us in such amazing ways. For example, Daniel Graham built a fiddle, a violin, out of tally-ho offcuts, which I sent him. It's a beautiful instrument, and he also made a series of videos about building it, which are on his YouTube channel. I'll link that in this video description below. And he sent the violin to me, and now I have to learn to play the fiddle, which I'm very excited about actually, and a little terrified, but at least it'll keep pirates at bay, I expect, and everyone else. So a lot of work to do on that, maybe after Tally-Ho is launched. Also, I'm so grateful for everyone who is working on the capstan project. There's a lot of stuff going on there. Please check out their videos. I'll link them in the description below. And of course, I'll talk a lot more about the capstan in due course, but there are videos right now of the pattern making and some casting stuff and taking the capstan apart. And when we get into that whole story in a few videos time, it should be really interesting. For now though, thanks a lot for watching, and a massive thank you to everyone who has donated or otherwise supported this project. It does make a huge difference. It means we're able to keep on doing this work, and we're able to keep on making and editing these videos. So I really appreciate it. And I'll see you next year. Cheers.